We are back, better than ever. The Indulgent Islander podcast, episode 8?
The
8.
Ocho,
The Ocho, yes.
appropriate
The
for this
Ocho.
week.
Love the Ocho. Tim Wood, your host, or, try to be. Here with the man, the myth, the legend, Nick DeSimone. How are you, sir?
Couldn't be better, man. Beautiful day, rain's over. I'm ready to talk about some food.
Absolutely. And we want to send a huge shout out to big news. Big news. We got our first sponsor of the show, Anthony. Oh, you wanna
Yes, our
just a
first
quick.
sponsor is Anthony Mascolo of Keller Williams Low Country. Anthony has been a tremendous supporter of ours from day one. Um, he is a big foodie like ourselves. Italian, obviously being his favorite, like me. Um, two Irish guys, right? But yeah, Anthony has been kind enough to participate in a sponsorship with us. So we are going to be working with him for the remainder of this season. And also working on possibly an event that we're going to have coming up with Ralphie's Pizza in the near future. So stay
Yeah,
tuned for that.
we're very excited to be working with Anthony. Very excited to get the sponsorships uh off the drawing board, so to speak. Y'all have been amazing in terms of listening and watching and commenting, and I think folks are taking notice. So we're open for sponsorships. So huge thank you to Anthony. We met him. We met him for lunch over at Ralphie's, and you know, I know you knew him beforehand, Nick, but I was just blown away and so excited to have him on board. A lot of intersections between your world, between your two worlds, between food, between real estate, um, and we have another connection as we talk Mexican today and Tex-Mex food. We have another crossover guest that we're going to bring in at the top of the show here. Nick, you want to introduce him?
Yes. So as Tim mentioned, with my primary occupation as a mortgage loan originator, I work directly with a lot of local real estate agents. And specifically, as you can see here, with
Who eat
my,
a
I
lot of
never know what side
food.
I'm pointing on. Oh, yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
food. So I'm wearing my May River Group Engel and Volkers hat today.
Oh, suck up you are.
Which,
Look at you.
yes, I got some,
Represent.
I got some ball busting, let's call it, last year when I wore it at the Heritage, because of course I saw many real estate friends, and I was very open and upfront about it. Aside from the fact that May River Group has been extremely supportive of our endeavor as well from day one. This is Tanner Sutphen's group here in Bluffton. I got the swag um, middle of last year, and when Tanner himself was kind enough to provide me with a ticket to the Heritage last year, I said to my other realtor friends, I can easily be bought. So you give me a free ticket to the Heritage, and I'm going to be wearing your swag to the golf event. So
So
I wore it proudly.
you're gonna be bringing like 16 hats to the Heritage this year and just putting them on every couple holes, huh?
Uh,
Okay.
I'll switch them up in between swings. So yes,
You
I want to introduce to you guys
He'll be
Luis Escobar with the May River Group of Engel and Volkers. Luis and I have become very good friends, not just from our professional endeavors in real estate and mortgage, but Luis is also a very big foodie like myself. He's got a
Mm,
lot of experience in this area specifically with a couple of the Mexican restaurants that we're going to discuss. And much like myself, Luis likes to incorporate a lot of food content in with his social media. Him and his wife, Mary Cruz, both do a lot of social media for their respective, not just their business, but also in their personal lives with their children and sports. It's really a insight into the lifestyle of Bluffton and all the things that included in there. Most notably, of course, all of the delicious food that we have here in the Low Country.
Luis, it's a pleasure to have you on. I mean, maybe we can get, at the Heritage this year, maybe we can get Nick with the hat on right at the tee box yelling, Baba Booey, Mayweather Group.
That sounds like a great idea.
Hey, listen, if I get another ticket, or you never know what could happen.
Nice.
What would you
Nice.
do for a couple tickets then?
I'll be head to toe in the red and what do we say? Red and white, red and black and white. I'll be head to
Red
toe
and
in
white.
England Bolter swag.
Forget
There you
tartan.
go.
It's all about, yeah. It's all about the red and the gold. So,
Yes.
Luis, pleasure to have you on. Really appreciate you making the time. Tell us a little bit about your passion for Tex-Mex and Mexican food.
Hi, team. Hi, Nick. Thank you for having me. Um, this has been since I was little. Cooking is something that I love. It is my passion. Uh, so when I moved to the country, I started working in restaurants. I worked for so many Mexican restaurants in the area, and I would say at first it was when I started working on these restaurants, and I was waiting for like authentic Mexican food, and I got my surprise that it wasn't as the food that I know, but it was delicious, right? And it was a different style, and well, something that I love of Mexican restaurants here in the United States that we don't have in Mexico is the cheese dip, and I think that goes all over the menu because of that same reason. I think I'm not the only one on this boat. Uh, but yeah, my passion of customer service, creating new dishes and drinks, creating experience for the customers. That was something that I was focused on when I was on this type of job, like food and beverage.
I love that you said the word experience, right? Because this is especially these last couple of weeks with some of the categories that we've been covering here on the Indulgent Islander. We talk about dining, specifically dining, in the restaurant as an experience. And I actually just saw just yesterday, um, it was actually from one of the Barstool personalities that I follow. And he talked about the experience and the service. And I'm going to paraphrase it, what he said. But it was essentially, I will accept, food that, I don't think he used the word mediocre, but he said something like, I'm okay with food if it's not the absolute best, but provided that there is good service, that there are smiles and so on. He said, what I will not take is if the food is excellent and the service is subpar. So I want
Yeah,
to
I mean,
talk about it.
you take
Go ahead,
I
Tim.
mean, a six on the food scale turns into an 8 or 9 when the service and the experience is 11 or 12.
1,000%.
Of
And
of
as most of our audience probably knows up to this point, this is something that I take personally into consideration when I'm providing some of these top picks. There will be restaurants that might have made the list if I and friends and family and colleagues and so on and so forth got great, got not so great service, they might not be mentioned as a result of that. Like I've said many times, we try to keep it positive here. So if we have a bad experience, like Tim said, I think from episode one, right off the jump was, if we didn't have a great experience, you're probably not going to hear about it. Whereas if we did have a great experience and we got excellent service, even though the food might not have been tens across the board, we're going to talk about it. Now, I want to say this. The couple of restaurants that we're going to mention that we're going to talk about here with Luis, and I'm going to pass it back over to Luis in a second. We're going to talk about restaurants that you've had experiences working with, such as um, Cinco, and also same owners are also owners of La Hacienda. Now, these coincidentally are both restaurants. Um, Cinco more recently, but even fairly recently, Hacienda underwent significant renovations and changes to the interior and to the decor of the restaurant. So I want to pass it back over to you, Luis, so that you can shed some light for our audience about how that experience is important to not just you, but the owners and the teams, the employees of these establishments, and also talk a little bit about what those changes, those updates, those, renovations have done to enhance that experience for patrons of these restaurants.
All right. Talking about the experience, yeah, I see so many cases when people go to a restaurant looking for the bartender or looking for the server, right? Because they feel comfortable talking to this person because they like the way they take care of them, right? Um, to me, experience it takes everything, right? Consistent in the food, good servers, smiling. You know that you're gonna be like providing new items in the menu, providing new tastes on people's mouth, drinks, presentation. It's about the whole thing, right? Because usually when we go to a restaurant, it's because we don't want to cook. We want somebody to bring our food. We don't want to deal with that. So if you go to a restaurant and you have this server that basically is telling you with your face, I don't like my job. I don't want to take care of you. Um, it's something, as you say, that it can bring you down, even if the food is amazing. So it's important to know that the face, the smile, the attention is really important on this. I mean, as any other job, right? But on these areas, it's really really important. I have the opportunity to work for Cinco as a manager in La Hacienda. Well, my wife worked as a manager at La Hacienda, and it's has been changing since then. This was like 5 years ago. I know they just update the way it looks, which it's great. Honestly, I like it is open now. You can see everything from the bar. The bar is amazing. I think it's like 20-something seats. Uh, and I know that they've been changing the way they work. Before you have position, right? And was your manager, and from there you're in charge of payroll and make orders, and so you have so many responsibilities that take some time for you to be involved with the customers. And my understanding is that now they have a big office who is in charge of all the paperwork. That way the managers get focused on having the restaurant clean, and be on top of the servers for them to be like doing the best service they can. I know the system has been changed. I know they go and experience other restaurants in big cities to have ideas about dishes, about new drinks, about new things to offer to their clients. Working with them was great. Um, I enjoy working at a restaurant. I enjoy going to the kitchen and making like new dishes and talking to people, seeing people happy, going out of the door and coming back over and over and over. Now I'm not doing that anymore, but I miss it for sure.
Yes, and you also obviously are still a frequent customer of these establishments. And I love what you
Of course.
said. You kind of as everybody, the audience knows, I'm a big fan of professional wrestling. So as much as I love the
I
on-screen
I didn't know
product,
that.
we
we
were
can
just talking
tell,
about
right?
before.
No,
Yes,
no.
right? Before we jumped on, we were just talking about how WWE is coming to the End Market Arena in Savannah in a couple of months, which I'm very excited about. But what I love about pro wrestling, it's not just specific to pro wrestling, television, movies, any form of entertainment. I am fascinated when they draw the curtain back, so to speak, to give us a glimpse of what happens in the back of the house, right? As they say, or in the locker room, as they say, in the back, they call it in wrestling. How for lack of a better expression, how the sausage is made, right? What goes into this operationally? Now, obviously, as a wrestling fan, I like to learn about that because it teaches me how they came up with ideas for certain storylines or certain characters. What you've explained to us here is specifically how a restaurant looked at its operation and said, this is what these team members are good at, and this is what those team members are good at. And it's actually not very different to take a step back into our professional world, Luis, to
Right.
mortgage and real estate, right? At Engel and Volkers, you have individuals whose responsibilities, plural, include a lot of the paperwork and systems and operations. And those responsibilities are handled by those particular individuals, which frees you up, very similar to myself in the mortgage world, frees us up to focus on what we're good at, which is sales and interacting with customers. Exactly the same
Exactly.
way that a manager or a bartender or um, a server will be interacting with the customers because they are the front facing employees.
W-
Exactly.
When I see when I go to a restaurant and I start to talk to them about their operations and just how they're putting things together, uh, I I know pretty quickly whether they're going to last or not. Because are you putting the right people in the right spots? Are you putting the front are you letting the front facing people focus on what they do best instead of putting 16 different responsibilities that are not in their wheelhouse?
Exactly. That's the point for them, right? To focus each individual to their strengths, right? That way you can have the best service of each of them. And everything start. I mean, everything starts from the hostess, right? It's the first. As soon as you open the door, what you want to see is a hostess that smiles that is welcome you, right? And from there is where your experience start, right? And it comes the server and the food, the drinks, presentation, and everything is important, and everybody is important also in a restaurant, right? Like it's like a watch. Everything needs to work together to have these type of services, right? And it's nice because I know not every single restaurant does that. Do usually put a lot of responsibilities in the managers, which lead them to have less time to be focused on the customer service, or like just taking like day-to-day problems away. So I think that is a great idea, just taking these responsibilities out of the managers for them to actually be 100% for the customers, 100% for the service, and just be support in the restaurant.
Yes.
Luis, what is your, no matter what Tex-Mex or Mexican restaurant you go to, like we all have our favorite dishes that we call ourselves connoisseurs on. What is your favorite dish to kind of judge a menu by?
My favorite dish, they
I
have
love
this
this
pineapple.
question.
They have this pineapple fajita. I'm a really fan of fruit in my food. Like I love how I am pizza. I add some mango to my shrimp tacos. I like that kind of that
Ooh.
taste, right? So they have this pineapple fajita, which is all three meats: steak, chicken, and shrimp, bell peppers, onions, and grilled pineapple. and they it comes on a boiled pineapple and comes with cheese dip on top, and it is served with a couple size. And I, to me, that's because from the presentation, the taste and the different of the ingredients, to me, is one of the best items on the menu.
That's like a smorgasbord of tastes right there.
Yes. Are we frozen here?
I think we may have lost the feed for the moment.
Okay. We'll see if we come. Well, I'm glad that you transitioned to that because um, obviously that's what we focus on here more importantly than anything else. Um, the the actual offerings at these places. So I'm glad the way that you phrased it is what's the dish that Luis would like to use to test this stuff out. There he is. He's back. So what
Sorry,
we're saying,
I don't know
Luis,
what
is
happened.
I love the way that Tim phrased that question. What is a dish that you would use to determine whether or not you like this place or not? I want to bring it back to that area because obviously this is the most important part, and this is the meat and potatoes, as they say, of what we talk about. When we're talking about Cinco and Hacienda, give us a quick run through of, let's say, if someone were to go to these two restaurants for the first time, what are some a few of the recommendations that you would have? Because I mean, I have certain things like if I go to either of these places, I'm probably going to go for something like a birria taco. I'm probably going to try to get a quesadilla in the mix. You talked about queso, which is my absolute favorite, one that jumps to mind, and we'll get into more detail about this later in the podcast, specifically with Cinco, was the Texas dip. I think they actually might have it at Hacienda as well, which is
They
the
do.
queso where they incorporate the steak and the shrimp and the chicken. Talk about what your advice would be to someone who's just trying this out.
Well, they also offer this called tableside guacamole. It made a
Yes,
guacamole right out, like in front of you, and I think that's a way to go, right? You can order a homemade guacamole, tableside guacamole. As I say, I like the pineapple fajita. I love burritos. Most of the burritos have cheese dip on top. Again, repeat it. It's my totally favorite. So, something that I would say the menu, it is really big. I haven't tried everything from there. As everybody, right? We have our favorites, and we usually go to our restaurants to look for them. Um, but yeah, I would say like a tableside guacamole. It's a good option. Um, cheese dip for sure. They have this ribeye steak they call the jefe steak, and it's a piece of ribeye with grilled shrimp, cheese dip, and it is served with rice, roasted potatoes, and grilled vegetables. That's amazing.
that sounds incredible.
Yeah, it does.
Yes, they have the cazuelon. This dish, also I like this dish because it has three of my favorite meats. So it's gonna be steak, chicken, and chorizo, topped with cheese dip, also served with beans and rice. I love meat, so I always go for the steak or chicken.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's something that I usually hit on especially when I dine in, is the steak and chicken options. Well, listen, those are some great highlights. I have admittedly not been back to Cinco since they did the renovations, but I definitely want to head over there soon. That's a place that I love to stop in before or after I take in a movie, which I'm planning on doing so later this month for the latest Mission Impossible installment. Actually, the Berea Pizza is one that I really have enjoyed at Cinco as well.
Yes.
That's a really good one. So, well, listen, we don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you got some real estate deals that you're working over there, always on the run. No, I don't know too many people that are as busy, not just with the real estate and the business stuff, but Luis does. He's got kids that are very busy with sports and things like that. They're big soccer family, and but he also him and Cruz. They also, to bring it back to what we started with the experiences, it's very fun to follow them because a lot of fun experiences, travel experiences and things like that throughout the Southeast with their family. Like I said, it's a lifestyle thing. And that's really, to bring it full circle, that specifically is what I love about the May River Group at Engel and Volkers, is that they're not just selling someone a house. They're not just selling someone a property. They are selling the lifestyle. And they do a spectacular job, as do many of the agents, specifically under the Engel and Volkers umbrella, of utilizing social media and utilizing different ways of marketing that low country, specifically for Luis, that Bluffton lifestyle to their customers. So I want to thank you very much for taking the time, and please feel free to add anything else that you'd like to about the real estate aspect of things, Luis.
No, as you say, like Merrill Group and Engel and Volkers, we try, or we don't try, we actually go hard on pushing the lifestyle because when you move to this area, yeah, you can find beautiful houses, right? But you're not gonna be at your house all the time. You want to enjoy everything the town offers, right? The river, all the restaurants, the I can say the nightlife because we all close at 9 p.m. So we don't have that around here. But
Yes, you got to go to Savannah for that.
listen, it's beautiful. I mean, that's what we need to show the people, right? The way to live over here, like how happy am I living here with my family? How much my kids enjoy the playgrounds and everything that this town offers. Um, Something that also I push a lot on real estate is the people. If it's something that I love about this town, is the people. I'm a big runner, so I usually run 5 days a week on the streets, and there's no one day when everybody just say hi. Somebody honk on the car, like it's always somebody. Um, Even working on a restaurant, like you have people, right? Whatever, but most of the people is really nice. Most of the people is kind, and it's something that I also try to push on people that wants to move to real estate. I mean, to the low country. Sorry. um, and well, I just started real estate, as you know, last year. uh, I'm still learning, but I'm loving it. I love helping others, to get to achieve their goals.
Yes.
To see the smile on people when they receive the key and open that door. Also, then it's smile of people when they receive that money on their account when they sell their house. So it's
Yes.
something,
Mm-hmm.
it's something that, and it's been since the restaurant, right? I always try to bring the experience to my people, bring the experience to my clients, you know. um, and I always happy to do it. Like as you say, I'm a busy man. I'm always traveling with my kids. We usually try to get a small trip on every birthday for my kids. We stop doing parties, too much headaches. So we do like a little trips. They choose where they want to go. Uh, since we homeschool also, well, my wife actually, I'm not gonna put that crown on me. She homeschools. Uh, we have that.
Smart man. Smart
Yeah,
man to put the
but
credit.
now I just remember like this going on Facebook. I don't want to get in trouble, man.
I've been
um,
married 28 years, man. I know where to give the credit.
yes. And she's not here, but she's here, so
Oh yeah.
I ring it out. um, so yeah, it's something that I always going to do. I always going to look for that experience for my clients and to do the best for them. Um, my plan, if God's will, is to open a restaurant. When I was on food and beverage, I work on 3 menus that I used to have there. So
Okay.
now I need to build my account, together. But that's the plan. Soon we can be talking again about that.
Very cool.
Right.
I got
Exactly.
yeah. I
And
can't
when
wait.
you're ready,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
you
Yes,
know where to go when you're ready to get the
of
word out.
course. Yes,
That's
yes,
very
yes.
cool. That's very cool though, man. Like you're bridging these worlds. You're the facilitator of the next chapter, in people's lives, and you got your next chapter of your career going, which is very excited and
Yes.
very exciting. We can't wait to see what's next for you. We really appreciate you coming on and sharing your expertise with us.
No, thank you for having me. For real, like I have the pleasure to know Nick for a year now. Actually, he was the first lender inviting me for lunch. Thank you for that. That
Yes.
shows me the faith that somebody has on me, even being new. So I really appreciate that, Nick. Team, I follow you on your page on Facebook. It's great. Um, and I'm really glad you guys had me on your podcast. And well, for everybody there, whatever you need on real estate, any question, any advice, I'm here and I'm happy to help.
Yes, and
Awesome.
if you need recommendations for what to order when you go to these places, you feel free to hit myself or Luis
Yeah,
up. Thank you very much, Bud, for taking the time. We're due for a lunch soon, so we got to get that on the calendar, and we'll be in touch soon, man. Have a great day.
that would be
Get
great.
me in
Thank
on
you.
that one.
Thank you.
Yes, of
Yes, for
course.
sure.
All right.
Absolutely. We're gonna get
Thanks,
some
Luis.
cheese dip.
There you go.
Yes. Very nice.
Yes,
I would love that. Yes, just let's put on the calendar for sure.
I love those
awesome.
sunglasses too, man. We should be do
Yes,
what are we doing the show inside for today? You know.
they, they do look good.
They do.
He always
All
looks
right.
good. He's a very fashionable guy.
Well, that's something else that I
That's
like. I
it.
like.
That's another
What,
podcast.
Mona
Exactly.
Lisa.
Subject
Yeah,
for another podcast.
there you go. I will be happy to be again.
Awesome. Thanks, brother.
Thanks,
Appreciate you
Luis.
guys. Have a wonderful day. God bless you.
You too. You too. Luis, he is a character, and man, he knows his stuff, doesn't he?
I told you, man. I couldn't wait to have him on because, I mean, we had been talking about for a while, doing some collaboration, and we still are going to for some content. But I just know how passionate he is about cooking, how passionate he is about food in general, restaurants. I knew the connection that he had to those couple of establishments, even though it's been several years. But he continues to obviously indulge in these various restaurants, of course. But obviously, that's the topic of today's episode. So I was really excited about that. And like we talked about earlier, offline, I'm big on, you know, sending things back around, right? Paying things not necessarily forward, but back to where they came from. And
Yeah.
since the very beginning of this, literally like episode one, I got very nice compliments specifically from Tanner, who has been great for me since I've been here, specifically with my business, but even outside of that. Um, he's just, he's a great person, obviously, very successful real estate agent, very successful team. And, much like Anthony, our sponsor, who just so happens to also be in real estate, these are day one advocates of what we're doing here. And I just think it's worth, giving credit where credit is due because, a lot of that feedback, when you're doing stuff like we're doing, it's really what keeps you going. I mean, it's what motivates you is people that say, I love the podcast. Tanner was actually funny. He's like, when we did the first episode, he's like, can I listen to this in another way? Because he's like me, he likes to multitask. So he like wants to listen to something while he's, you know, looking at Facebook or other things. So obviously we came through very shortly thereafter. Within a day or two, we were on almost all the platforms as you're showing them here. So I just, again, feedback, positive or negative, is always welcome. And if we can return the favor in some small way, I'm happy to do that. And Louis is the perfect person to collaborate with, specifically in this category, but just even with food in general. And I'm pretty excited. I think he might have mentioned that to me last year that he was planning on getting, back into the business, so to speak. So I can't wait to see what he comes up with, and I can't wait to cover it and talk about it, when that becomes a thing. But he's someone that I really enjoy following on Facebook and Instagram. Because one of the things that he does a lot, and right in the vein of what we do, and more specifically what you do, I think more than anybody in this community, is he'll have days where he'll just post 8 to 10 stories spotlighting local businesses in Bluffton, and yes, does it contribute to selling that lifestyle? Absolutely. But you could talk about supporting local business and you about supporting local business. And Luis and Mary Cruz, they're about it, you know?
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
If one, once again, thanks to Luis Escobar for joining us. So into the news and notes for this week. You want to start with another opening alert? Opening alert! Opening alert! Whoop, whoop, whoop. That's all
Best
I
laid
got.
plans.
Yeah.
Best laid plans. I start getting some soundboard action. Like I used to love Michael K show. They used to incorporate some of those sounds, and then they would have a. Now that we're coming up on March Madness, they would have Drop Madness, where people would vote. They would set up matchups with the various drops that they would use, and they would have on Twitter. You could go on each round, and you could vote for which drop that they used, which audio clip you found the most entertaining.
All right, let's try it. Let's try it again. Uh, opening alert! Opening alert! Opening alert!
Ironically, that's one of the drops that he uses more than anything. I don't know if you
Sure.
knew that.
Oh yeah.
They use it on the Cheap Heat podcast all the time
Oh,
when they have
absolutely.
big news.
Yep. Yep.
So that drop is perfect because it's worthy of what we're going to talk about, which is again best laid plans. You and I wanted to meet for lunch a week ago Friday at Flatbread, the new Flatbread at May River Crossing, across the parking lot from the Publix, right caddy corner there to what is that? Joe's Ice Cream and the ice cream stop
Ice cream
and
stop
and
and
and the liquor store.
MUSC Health, the liquor store. Yeah. Yep.
Yes, yes. I confused. I got my ice cream places confused. The one that I mentioned isn't even open anymore. But I digress. So we wanted to get together for lunch, and um, I wasn't able to make it. I had a personal thing came up, emergency type situation that I had to take care of. So you still went for lunch with your wife, correct?
I did.
And then the very next day, I got takeout. So you start off. You talk about because I'll be honest, just in the 10 minutes that I was there Saturday evening to pick up takeout, and I got to see Amanda, which I was thrilled about. She said that they were super busy.
Oh yeah.
She essentially alluded to the fact that the kind of crowds that they were getting that week, and I'm sure it was probably into last week as well, were similar to, because of course she's run up until now and still does, the flatbread in Coligny on Hilton Head. She likened the amount of activity to what you would get at a restaurant on Hilton Head Island in during like a holiday weekend in the summertime,
Or
which is
Heritage.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, they were backed up at the bar. Of course, I had to bust Nicky Maxey's chops because I saw him standing over at the bar. I said, if Nicky Maxey's hanging out here, it's got to be a happening spot. All the tables were filled right around the corner there, sort of close to the circle or that little area that they have in the corner between the two buildings. They have that great bar situation where you have the bar in the inside, but you can also sit on the bar on the outside
Yep.
and eat outside there as well. And it's covered
Yep.
also. The building.
Reminds me of Local Pie down in the promenade with the outside bar. It's and they
Yes.
haven't even. I mean, it may be done now, but when we went last week, they were waiting on furniture for the outside. I mean, they have a whole outside patio that is going to be perfect, both a screened in area, um, and then they'll have some seats out in the open in the little park area. It's already taken real good shape there. And yeah, we went for lunch that day, as you said, and packed. And I got a fantastic pepperoni uh, flatbread pizza, and Debbie got a wrap, chicken wrap, which was amazing. And no, it was. I'm impressed with what I see so far. You know, will the crowd start to level out? Honestly, you just don't know. I've been telling everybody I don't have $5 million to invest in a restaurant, but I've been telling anybody who would listen that that spot right there, whether it's May River Crossing, whether it's the village at New Riverside across the street, I mean, you are at the intersection of, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, at least 40% of the population in Bluffton. Between where we're at, Cypress Ridge, Lawton Station, New Riverside, right down May River Road. It's been underserved. So really excited to see them get off to the start. You got some pictures of your food. You criticized my pictures, so I didn't even want to put them up. But I mean, that's the first thing I get from this guy. Okay, I sent him and you know what? I probably shouldn't have sent him pictures because, like, felt bad that we couldn't connect. But I just wanted to, kind of like he was there. And the first thing he says to me is, "We got to show you how to take food photos."
I couldn't see what was in the wrap. I
Yes,
saw the wrong
yes,
side of the wrap. I
yes.
saw the flatbread; it looked delicious, but I couldn't see the inside of the wrap, so I had to bust your chops a little bit.
And you did,
This
and then
was
yep.
Yeah, this was the so like I said, I got takeout. My advice to people, and granted, whenever you get pizza, I just had a conversation with someone about this today. Whenever you get pizza, and especially in this case, a flatbread pizza, which is basically, it's very, very thin crust. So, when you take it home, obviously, it loses a little bit of that integrity, especially when you have a lot of toppings on there, like this one. So, what I recommended to people was, if they were going to go with the flatbread pizzas, I recommended, if you like, because I think there's going to be a flop no matter what when you're talking about a flatbread. But if you like a little bit more structural integrity, less flop, you have the option to order the pizza um, crispy, or like a little bit more well done. I'm not seeing it on the menu here, but I remember when I ordered it, and the online ordering is already set up, there was an option to toggle there for to have it a little crispier. The pizzas that we got were the personal size, and the one that you showed was the New Englander, which was lobster, Maine lobster, coastal shrimp, white sauce, and basil, served with a
Wow.
lemon wedge. It was excellent. And I didn't finish it because I also tried um, the my wife and I tried the margarita. Well, what you're seeing there, that's the bruschetta, which was also
Okay.
delicious.
Yep.
Tomato, basil, red onion, mozzarella blend on garlic and oil sauce, topped with balsamic reduction. A lot of
Wow.
times, I'll opt for pizza that doesn't have, the red sauce as a base. There, of course, you got your margarita, fresh mozzarella cheese, cherry tomatoes, fresh basil, and red tomato sauce. My wife really enjoyed that. We sampled some boneless wings, tried two different flavors of those. There you have your standard, probably, yes, the buffalo. And then I also tried some garlic parmesan, as well as the bang bang shrimp. The bang bang shrimp had good flavor. Not large shrimp, but I did like the sweet and spicy bang bang sauce on the shrimp, and definitely would say just in the mood for boneless wings that night. So I would say the wings, definitely thumbs up on the wings, thumbs up on the flatbreads. I do want to get back there to try some of these other things, like the buffalo chicken wrap, flatbread Philly sandwich, um,
Yeah,
shrimp
I
po'
really want to
boy.
try that flatbread Philly.
Yes, yes, for sure. So I would say, I mean, I said it. I posted about it right away. I said I could easily see this being, and we didn't even get into mentioning salads, bowls, entrees, stuff like that. But I said this could easily be one of my new, top go-to for takeout, or even if you want to go grab a quick dinner. I mean, Amanda actually said that night, good thing I was getting takeout because the place was packed. I mean, if we had just showed up there, we probably would have been waiting a little bit for a table like the people probably are doing when you're seeing them at the bar here. But the proximity to where you and I live in Lawton, in Cypress Ridge and Lawton Station, respectively, the proximity to that whole New Riverside area, you could already tell. Again, a week ago, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, you could already tell from when you were there and I was there that this is going to or already has become one of the popular hangouts for this section of town.
It's so light and bright in there, between the lighting that they picked, and then you just have tons of natural light with the windows in there. And you know, it's a little tight around the bar at the moment, but I think they're trying to pack some tables in there, and I think that once they get the outside seating, they maybe can relieve a little bit of that around the bar. And but it's really set up beautifully. It's very um very well set up. Very well set up. I'll have to say I was impressed with the food. I was impressed with the setup. Very well done. So
I think that,
congratulations.
yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And then you also went to another spot. You went to a new spot over in Kitty's Crossing.
Yes, this was. Why am I here?
Yeah, I'm
And
blanking
now,
on the spot too.
now I'm frozen. Um, oh, the one that I just did today.
Yes.
Perfect. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Brand new, just opened yesterday. Low Country Kitchen and Catering. So there's no sign up on above right now. This is just a sign that I took in the window. I had connected several months ago with Anders Graham. At the time, he was working at Shea George. And I kept in touch with him. And he mentioned that he had a new endeavor over here in Bluffton called Low Country Kitchen. He said, stop by when you get a chance, check it out. I had a meeting over there on Bluffton Road today in Magnolia Park. So I said, you know what? Let me scoot down there. It's in that little shopping center by Buffalo Wild Wings, actually right next to Jimmy John's. And, limited menu for now, a couple of bowls, a couple of salads, a couple of sandwiches. After we wrap up here today, I'm actually going to enjoy the club sandwich that I purchased. My wife went with the
Nice.
Mediterranean salad. Um, Second day of business, they're already very busy. Small counter space to sit there if you want to eat in. But this is mostly a takeout concept. As you see, 1, 2, 3, 4 salads, 3 sandwiches, and 3 power bowls that they have so far. So very excited to see. Anders is very talented, very creative chef. I can't talk about the things that he mentioned today. He's doing some collaborating with another chef that you and I know very well, who's bringing a new concept to Bluffton very soon. Those of you loyal listeners can probably connect the dots, but based on what he told me and the things that they're going to be doing together, all I got to tell you is stay tuned, because these guys, Anders and this other chef, are going to be bringing some things to Bluffton that we have never seen before. And I couldn't be more excited about it. So I know it's a teaser, and I hate to leave people hanging, but stay tuned, because very soon I'm going to have more information for you on Low Country Kitchen, as well as what Anders has planned, coming down the pike. It's, again, super creative, and I'm super excited to be able to share that with everybody. I'm
Very
as
cool.
excited to try my club sandwich when we wrap up today.
Nice. So,
Yeah.
congratulations to them. I look forward to trying that myself. You also got out to a great event over at May River Manor.
Yes. Shout out right off the bat to Meg James, who's running the May River Manor. I got to learn a lot about the venue. It was my first time. I got to learn a lot about many local professionals that are part of the food scene, specifically here in Bluffton and the surrounding area. So, a little background about May River Manor. They've been in business for quite a few months now. This was formerly a
1 year
home.
anniversary today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Perfect timing. So, this apparently was a location that was housing for abused or battered women previously. People did not know that because that was, of course, by design. If they're there to be safe and sound, that's not something that's going to be publicized. So when they took over the space, they did a lot of, renovations. It looks absolutely spectacular. The grounds and everything. The as far as a venue for weddings, special events, special dinners, anything like that, I was blown away by the indoor space, by the outdoor space. This particular event was held around the table, locals serving locals. They also called it the spring fling, was another thing that they mentioned. And the purpose of this was to gather several local establishments, multiple of which have been collaborating with each other already on a number of things. So I just want to run through it real quickly. And I have to give credit to our friend Antonio Mancini Albano from AMA Private Dining. He's going to come on the podcast. We're going to talk to him tomorrow and try to nail him down. He is busier than you could imagine with his private chef business. He's been here for about 8 months or so. He invited me to this event where he prepared a dinner for all of these locals, and it included shaken and stirred mixology, balloon theory, which does decor walls and things like that, Hardy Greens, which is over in Hardyville, edible flowers, microgreens, and herbs. Farmer Blue, which does flowers and floral design. They're out, towards Buford, out that way. I can't remember specifically what town. Cassandra's Kitchen, where Antonio's been having quite a few events, as well as the Olio Licorice, which is an organic extra virgin olive oil company. A phenomenal product, by the way. And then Roaming Lens Studio handled the photography, and I was invited as the podcast, food blogger, social media, etc. We also had Alana Media. We had Sage Thorson with Alana Media assisting with some social media things and like that. So it was a spectacular dinner. 3 or 4 courses, I want to say. I think what you had showed was probably was that the plate, the finished product? I think it was. Yes. Buttermilk roast chicken with maple sweet potato, charred broccolini, glazed asparagus, and cheddar, and chive cornbread. That was the main. They also had, um, along with that, and I got to Google this because I got to apologize, even though I am of Italian descent. I didn't know what it was at the time and I forgot. So it's basically, it stands for a little bit of everything, is un po de roba buona, a little bit of everything good, a little bit of every good thing. And basically what that was an assortment of little different tastes. It says larceny, Leblon, Cinar, Parmesan, banana. Um, I can't do it justice. It was spectacular. Prior to that, we had Low Country risotto with Carolina gold rice, saffron brodo, local shrimp, crab, burnt lemon, organic extra virgin olive oil. And we started with a winter citrus garden salad that was the most amazing combination of flavors and textures: blood orange, caracara for the two fruits, heirloom beets, burrata, pistachio, balsamic caviar, and edible flowers. I know that that was a mouthful, but I had to go through it because Anthony is just an artist with his food. You could tell the amount of effort and time that he puts into it. And, he had a little bit of help. Um, Meg, Meg's husband was actually on hand to do some sous chef type of duties. He did a spectacular job. And a lot of excellent content for all of these local purveyors, let's call it. Yeah, I think that was the Yeah, that was the. I think that was actually. That's the sweet potato. I want to say yes. I think we might have. Yeah, there's the asparagus.
You attached 27 photos, so you're getting what you get.
No, that's fine. That's fine. We're good. We're good. Um, yeah, there was. I mean, there was a lot of content um, from that particular evening, and it was really cool to hear everyone's story. You know, we went around the table and everybody, sort of shared that year. They have the pasture raised chicken, which was outstanding. And we got to go around the table, and everybody got to share, what how they got here and how their businesses came to be. And I'm very excited to collaborate with all these people. Anthony's been doing cooking classes at Cassandra's Kitchen. They've been doing tastings for the olive oil. Hardy Greens specifically has some really, really good stuff. So I'm excited as well to collaborate with them.
It's a
Jennifer,
it's a great
yeah,
spot. May River Manor, 155 Old Miller Road in Bluffton. I mean, they've done such an incredible job renovating and just beautifying that property. And they're having what I really love is they're doing all sorts of interesting events out there. Just this week, they've got a singles parents event, Manor Mingle Night. They've got a Creations from Campagna wine dinner coming up on April 11th. Just some really cool things. They're incredibly creative with what they're doing out there, and how they're making that property accessible to the community. It's yeah, I'm really glad you got to experience it.
yes, kudos to, like I said, Meg is really the superstar there. Amador Rivera is the investor, the visionary behind this this event venue, and he comes from a background of construction. He's an entrepreneur, construction. I think he owns a painting company as well. He had connected with Meg when she was running the local builders association, the Hilton Head Builders Association and essentially snatched her away from them because he saw, how talented she is, and she is putting together her with the help of Lynn, who recently joined the fold. And Lynn is a Jane of all trades, let's say. She's spectacular as it pertains to a lot of marketing things and everything like that. You're right. There's no shortage of all these events. I'm just going through their Facebook now. The dinners, the events, everything. They got a pool on site. They got beautiful backyard. I did hear of some plans of expansion, which is also very exciting. So yeah, I was really grateful to be a part of that, and I can't wait to see what they come up with moving forward. And honestly, I can't wait to go back because I really had a thoroughly enjoyable evening with everybody there. It was spectacular. So
Very cool. Very cool.
yeah,
Well, congratulations to them too on their 1 year anniversary, and I can't wait to get out there. There's just like I said, the variety of events they're doing out there is just really impressive. You can create a great event space, but then to actually create the events to fill the space, that's a whole different animal. And they're
absolutely.
really nailing it on both sides for sure.
They're doing a great job. And again, shout out to Brendan with Shaken and Stirred. He was really making some great cocktails. He wasn't able to stick around for dinner, but he got us started with some really nice, beautiful looking cocktails. He's got a great reputation in the area for, bar services. I know they're booked, for the next several months with weddings and everything and all the stuff that they do. So yeah, just an amazing group of people. And, looking forward to stay tuned because we're going to talk more about these different companies, in the coming weeks on the podcast. They may not be restaurants, but they're all things that people need to check out if they love food like we do.
Absolutely. Speaking of food, let's get into this week's list. We obviously talked up front with Luis and got the conversation started, but we're talking Tex-Mex Mexican restaurants this week. Where do you want to start? Nick's list.
I think we should start on Hilton Head and this thing, Mexican food is, it can be simple and it can range to, quite a bit more complicated. I wanted to include Tex-Mex in this category. It's not going to be voluminous in terms of like what we're going to address, but I want to talk specifically about a half a dozen or so establishments that I am specifically big fans of. And I think there's no better way to start off with it than Santa Fe Cafe on Hilton Head Island. Santa Fe Cafe is classified by themselves on their website as Southwestern cuisine. So I wouldn't put this as specifically Mexican, although they're Mexican favorites. I would put this more so in the Tex-Mex, Southwestern category. When people talk about Santa Fe Cafe, typically the first thing that comes to mind is the painted desert soup, which, we talked about soup de tour that I was doing over the winter. And I highlighted this one as well as a poblano soup that they were offering at their newer restaurant, Kung Fu Cantina. And we'll come back to that on a future episode. I've been a big fan of that. But look at this soup. Have you ever seen a more beautiful presentation? All this is corn and red pepper soup. And I don't want to marginalize it by saying all this is, but it blows me away that what we're looking at, this beautiful painting that we're looking at, is corn and red pepper soup with Mexican cream and mole. That, obviously, they sprinkle, some green, some herbs on there. I don't know if that's chives or maybe some couple of pieces of pepper for just a little bit of a sprinkle, obviously, at the end, a finishing touch, a garnish, if you will, like they would put on a drink. This soup is not only one of the most beautiful plates that you can get in Hilton Head, it's also one of the most delicious and as simple as it gets in terms of the ingredients. But really, I mean, that's the star.
It's a
I think
piece
that's
of
what
art.
everybody. It is exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally a painted desert. I mean, it's exactly what it looks like. I mean, it's almost like when you try to use the desert emoji on your phone, and you have like you see the background and you see the sand and you see the cactus and this kind of stuff. That's exactly what you see, basically. Obviously, this is a much more beautiful version of it.
How many? So just how many takes would you have to go through to create that?
I don't. I would never be able to create it.
It is. It's just it's stunning in terms of, like you said, the simplicity of ingredients, but it's the deliciousness, and then just combined with the art of it. It's really impressive. I mean that's the whole place, isn't it? I feel like that soup is really, and the presentation of it is really a great microcosm of what Santa Fe Cafe represents.
Yes, the atmosphere is really cool there. Got like that sort of like Pueblo kind of vibe, you know? You feel like you're in like New Mexico or Arizona, something like that. I love the rooftop deck. Last time I was there with my friend Troy, aka Hieronymus Nosh. More to come on that very soon. Some very cool events coming up. Troy and I sat upstairs out on the deck. There's another bar up there. There was only two of us, two tables seated up there that day, so they didn't have, during the day they didn't have that bar operational in terms of someone, standing there at the bar. But um, service was spectacular. Rachel and Marshall, they do a great job with this place. We talked about queso and cheese dip with Luis. You got two different options there. You can get chili con queso. You can get queso fundido. They got a ceviche. They got a birria quesadilla as an appetizer. They got,
Which
you
is
know,
outstanding. I've you
yes,
know I've tried that a couple times now and was just blown away by it.
I had it at Kung Fu Cantina and I thought it was delicious. I don't know if it's
Okay.
the exact same recipe. Most of the Kung Fu Cantina stuff is fusion with sushi and things like that, but um, that's a beautiful piece of fish there. I want to say that's probably the blackened. You know what? I think that's actually the grouper. Now that I think about it, this is one of the ones I sent you, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, this is the grouper. Play Parmesan au gratin with Mexican rice and southwestern vegetables.
Nice.
This was a while ago, Tim, this photo, but
Yes,
that
yes.
grouper was absolutely delicious. I think that's probably their signature seafood dish. I think here we probably have a couple tacos, I want to
Yep.
say,
Yep.
with the rice and black beans. And let's see.
Enchiladas?
Uh, might be. Yeah, I think that might be. I'm again. This was a while ago. I was there with my parents and with my wife. Um, I'm not sure if it's the chimichanga or enchiladas, but either way, I mean, all of this stuff is delicious. They have fajitas, they have tacos, they have soups and salads. You can get a steak there. They got a ribeye. You can get a cowboy cut or a Wrangler cut. Pork chop verde, mesquite grilled lamb chops. I mean, filet mignon with shrimp enchilada. I mean, it doesn't. We were talking about before about the combo of steak and chicken, steak and shrimp. I mean, I love those combinations when they get you with a couple of the dates and you know finish it with you got cheddar jack cheese, garlic mashed potatoes, ancho chili cream sauce. I mean, just the flavors alone in this place are just spectacular.
And by the way, we show the pictures, folks. You can't see them if you're listening on the podcast, obviously, but
Yes.
we show the pictures just to give you a feel for the menu, not necessarily as the quote unquote pics of the menu, but just to give you a sense of the kind of dishes that you're going to get there, and the presentation, and but yeah, that's a great place to start, Nick, for sure.
I'm very big with visuals. A lot of times when I'll be out to dinner, trying one of these places or returning, this was the lunch portion where you got the salad and the soup and the quesadilla all together, which is
Yep,
really cool.
yep.
What I like to do a lot of times, especially if I'm having some difficulty choosing what I'm going to eat, my family always laughs at me because I'll be like, let's quote the legend Warner Wolf, right? From CBS News or whatever
Yep.
it was in New York City. For
Let's
those of you
go
who are
to the
outside the
videotape.
tri-state area, exactly. There's a perfect alley oop there. That's exactly what I say. Let's go to the videotape. And I will have my phone out. My mom will be like, "What are you doing? We want to order." I'm trying to see photos of the two or three things that I'm considering ordering because a photo might sway me one direction or the other. So
Yeah,
very similar to that.
I'm
What's
awful
that?
that way. I'm awful that way. Like and we've talked about this. I will be locked in on something on a menu, but then a couple dishes will go by me, to other tables, and I'm like, "Ooh, what is that?" Like,
I've gotten some looks before at restaurants
yeah.
because I'll be staring in one particular direction. And my wife's like, "Why are you staring at him, her, them?" I'm not staring at the people. I'm staring at their food. And if they look over at me and they look a certain way, they give me a certain look like, "What the heck are you looking at?" I'll be very honest with them. I call it diners remorse. I want to say
Yeah.
is the term that I came up with,
Yeah.
because like sometimes I'll order something like you said, and then I'll see something come out and be served to someone else, and I'll be like, "Man, I wish I would have gotten that." And some might say, "Oh, well, just get it next time." Well, what if it was a special?
Yeah.
What if I can't get it the next
This is the
time?
one time.
Exactly.
Or you could call it out like you did with River Road Cafe, and they'll just make it again for you.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, I willed it into existence. I said, "I've heard about
Etouffee.
this crawfish etouffee." And then what do you know? The
Boom.
following week, crawfish etouffee.
No,
And it was
I'm the
awesome.
same way. I'm the same way. When we used to, we go out to dinner a lot with my mom and my dad, and my mom and I would just marvel at my dad's ability to just and I don't think he was looking at the food. He just would get locked in on something and just really obnoxiously stare to the point where I'm like, "Dad, what are you doing?" And now 25 years later, I find myself doing the same thing, but I'm looking at the food. I'm not staring like you said, "Please excuse us. Please excuse us. We are admiring your great taste and your expert pick of the menu." That it is an appreciation of you. Honestly, we're not staring. We're staring at your selection and your vision to see that and will that to your table.
We had a birthday party for my father. We were talking about this offline on another subject. And one of my favorite moments from that was my uncle Raymond, who's one of my dad's best friends from growing up, telling a story about going out to dinner with my dad, specifically about Italian wedding soup. And the way that he told the story was that my dad actually got up from the table and walked over to the other table and was asking the other diner, inquiring about the size of the meatballs in the wedding soup. Oh, does it have the big balls? I like the big balls versus the little balls. And he had the whole dining room in hysterics because, again, very similar to that. It was like, oh, they have wedding soup here. Do they have the bigger meatballs? Do they have the smaller meatballs? All this kind of stuff. So I guess you could say, from that perspective, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, both with my affinity for soup as well as my wandering eyes as I sit down for a meal, always feeling like I'm going to miss out something that I could have or should have chosen to eat.
I mean, were you doing that when you were courting your wife? Because that's like, I'm sure she's used to it by now, but like when you're dating, it's like, what am I not enough? Like, what is this guy doing?
That's a great question. My answer to that would be probably not. I could actually spin this around and I'll probably get yelled at for it, but I think I've mentioned before that my wife and I kind of became foodies together.
Yes.
So I actually say that because of that was born out of our mutual affinity for food and dining out, that might have actually made it worse. Is as we got to know each other and as we became this foodie couple, and this is what we did for, this was our pastime. This is what we did for fun with friends and family and so on and so forth. That kind of took things to another level. I would always say, I would look at the menu, but I always wanted to hold out for what the specials were going to be so that I could make a very educated decision. But I would say it's gotten progressively worse over the years to where, I can be incredibly inventive. And then what also happens is you'll end up with a scenario where a friend of mine from back home used to love, we were always eye to eye on this. We called it the fifth entree, where we would be the four of us having dinner, but there was another dish that we saw that was so awesome looking that we had to go for a fifth entree that we could all share. So a lot of times, what I'll end up doing is I know that I'm going to be taking food home because if I see a couple things that I feel like I need to try, a lot of times I'll end up, whether it's appetizer or entree, I'll end up ordering another one, and server will sometimes give me a look like, wait, you're ordering two entrees? Yes, I'm not going to sit here and consume two full entrees, but I'm going to probably have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and we're going to be taking home some leftovers. So guilty as charged. And I don't know that I was guilty of it when I was in the dating thing. I was probably more focused on my beautiful wife, but since then it's become my OCD has again gone to a complete higher degree when it comes
I
to
was
ordering food.
Yeah, I was gonna try to bail you out in terms of, because you said, you like to peruse the menu and then get to the specials. And your wife, in the grand scheme of your courtship, your wife was the special, right?
1,000%, she
There you go.
absolutely was.
You're welcome.
Thanks, buddy. Good looking out. That's what
All right,
teammates do, right?
there you go. All right, on to the next. Where are we going next?
I want to go to back into Bluffton to Buckwalter Place. Buckwalter Place, yes, Berkeley
Yep,
Place. Sorry, Berkeley Place on Buckwalter.
on Buckwalter. Yes.
I want to go to Cinco Mexico, which is in the shopping center there by the movie theater. A great option for, like we said with Luis, before or after you're going to go enjoy a movie. I am very excited to go back to Cinco because they've undergone some renovations. I want to see what that looks like in terms of how the dining room has changed. As we mentioned before, and we're going to get to it a little bit later, the renovations that Hacienda did a year, might be more or more ago, they really did a spectacular job. It's wide open.
Transformative. They made it their place, really. I mean,
Yes,
they they took over the place, right?
yes.
And
Super colorful.
they made it their own. It's and and you can just I mean, listen, again, we talked about this earlier. the food was great to begin with, and same thing with Cinco. The food was great to begin with, but when you really put your stamp on it, from a visual perspective, and you know, Cinco Cinco took over for those who have been around
This is the stuff I
for a
love.
bit, but
Bring it, bring it.
Cinco took over Beef O'Brady's, and yeah, that used to be a Beef O'Brady's right there in the corner when that plaza opened.
Beef O'Brady's.
Yep, yep.
Never even heard of it.
It's a chain. They actually they had one in Buford. I'm not sure if it's still there. It's largely consolidated down into Florida now, but it was just kind of it was a mix of, it was like American Pub. And I loved it because they had this great like meeting space, and we would have our fantasy football drafts there and our fantasy baseball drafts there, and got to be really friendly with Kelly Balster, who owned the place, the Balster family, and they've since moved back to Minnesota. They're from Minnesota, and it sat empty for a little bit, and it was like, man, this is such a good spot. Why is this sitting? And then Cinco comes in and just absolutely wows wows us from the jump. Um, yeah, this has been a, you know the Bluffton. You've got some good spots spread all over the place. Um you've got spots like Mitiera downtown. You've got another one downtown that we're going to talk about in a little bit. You've got spots like Cantoritos out near Sun City. But I mean, to have the the mix of foods that you have there in Berkeley Place now, I thought they picked the perfect lane, and uh, the perfect menu really for that plaza. And I mean, listen, it's been a while now. The fans clearly agree.
Let's talk about that menu. I got it open on my computer, right? As I often do when we're going through these. After the cover page, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11 pages. Now, we've talked about before having a menu that's too large. This menu is not too large because it's one of the most aesthetically pleasing, like bright, beautifully looking menus that you'll ever see. And what I love about it is, I love when we have these excellent segues. We talked about visuals, right? When you look at the Cinco menu, they're not going to have a photograph of every single dish, but I'll tell you what, man, they show you if there's any question, especially if it's something that is not your standard run of the mill thing. If you don't know what Milanesa is, they're going to show you. If you don't know what churrapollo is, they're going to show you. You go through this menu. It's beautiful. It's colorful. It's spread out. I mean, you got a whole page on chicken, a whole page a whole page on quesadillas and enchiladas, a whole page on nachos and burritos. Like everything is laid out. It's aesthetically pleasing. You get photographs of what the things are. Again, I think the Texas dip is spectacular. Cheese dip with grilled shrimp, chicken, and steak, topped with pico de gallo. Absolutely love that. They got soups, salads. Again, my favorite there is the pizza birria, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's
Is that it?
exactly what it looks like
No,
if you're watching, right?
is that a burrito quesadilla, or is that the pizza?
That's the pizza.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, you think like birria tacos, but in a pizza shape where you have the entire circle and then you have your consomme or broth for the dipping. This was spectacular.
I took the picture down. I'm like shaking my head like, oh my gosh.
Yes. Two
Wow.
flour tortillas stuffed with cheese and our famous adobo marinated shredded beef, cooked in birria sauce, cilantro onions, served with beef consomme for dipping, and tomatillo sauce.
So
So you can
good.
get the tacos or you can get the pizza birria. The tacos a little more on the crispier side, um, and the pizza birria is, like I said, delicious. So these, I want to say, I like to go with a taquito appetizer a lot when I do Mexican food. So these are um, an order of taquitos with a bunch of lettuce, tomato, the white cheese, which of course I can't think of the name of that cheese now. Queso fresco, sorry. That's something that I frequently will get when I go Mexican food. Is I'll get like an order of taquitos to go along with whatever else I'm indulging in at that particular time. What I also love is they do the big margaritas. I am a huge Michelada fan, so they'll give you a giant glass with Michelada, and whatever they don't use from the beer, they'll just give you that bottle of beer, whatever on the side. I'm big into spicy, so I love to go, like I said, with the Michelada is my favorite. But they have all kinds of delicious drinks in addition to they also have daiquiris, which is really cool. I like how they kind of mix it in. So you're looking at what you're going to order, and then you'll see a beautiful, margarita like that, on the page, and you'll be like, oh, I'm going to have to get one of those too.
Nice.
Have you been there since they did the renovation?
I have. I have again, and it's just it's um it's lighter, brighter. It's and it just has a personality that, quite honestly, as you described the menu, it matches the menu better.
Vibrant.
Yeah.
Yeah. They also have a
By the way,
Cantarito, which is a tequila based cocktail, like a Paloma, that's got orange juice, lemon juice, and lime juice. They serve it in a clay cup known as a jarrito de barro that keeps the drink cold. I had to mention that because I had never heard of it before I saw it that day, and that sounded delicious. My sister's a big Paloma fan.
nice.
Yeah, what were we going to
This-
say? Sorry.
No, no, I'm just gonna show off some other of the photos, and I mean it's
Those are mole. I
yep,
want to say that's what my wife typically goes with is like the mole enchiladas de mole.
nice.
Great mole sauce. And those are the burrito tacos.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that difficult to figure out when it comes to Mexican food. If they have birria, I'm going to go for it. I know that
Yeah,
the true authentic birria is like goat meat, but I don't think anybody around here really does it with that. Usually they use brisket or in this case shredded beef, which is fine with me. I don't necessarily need to eat goat, but I'm a
I
big
mean,
birria
listen,
person.
if Louise is not gonna sweat the cheese dip in terms of Mexican authenticity, I'm not gonna sweat some chicken or shredded beef in my burrito.
Not at all. Not at all. Let's see. That's another one of the enchiladas. Obviously, that's the one that incorporates the pineapple.
They had a pineapple he was talking about earlier.
Yeah, that's the Suizas.
Nice.
5 corn tortillas filled with grilled chicken strips and topped with mild tomatillo sauce, sour cream, pico de gallo, cheese sauce, and grilled pineapple. That's the one he was talking about, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I believe
Yep.
so.
Yes. And
What
those
that almost?
are,
What is that?
I want to say, that looks like a fajita to me.
Yeah, it does.
So probably shrimp or chicken.
When I first look at that, the consistency, it almost looks like a pie filling. It looks so delicious.
I mean, they load them up, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
they do.
beauty of going to these places is they are not shy with either the meat or the delicious vegetables that they put in there, peppers, onions, zucchini, whatever the case may be. These are significant portions, and the value. I mean, you saw those enchiladas. They range from $14.95 to $16. I mean, for someone like my wife, that's at least 2 meals that she
Yeah,
gets out of it.
absolutely. All
Yep.
right, so we got Santa Fe out on the island. We got Cinco on Buckwalter. Where are we going next?
Let's head down into Old Town. I actually met Luis for the first time at lunch at Agave Sidebar. Now, as most of us know, Agave has since moved over to the space that was formerly occupied by Old Town Dispensary, which really, let's be real, was an institution
Yes.
in Old Town Bluffton. I miss their French onion soup. I miss their fried chicken sandwich. But thanks to Agave, I don't miss the space because, again, a perfect segue. We're like when I used to work for the Nets basketball team. We went to those couple of finals.
It's
Once
a
we got Jay
symphony. It's
Kidd,
all
it
flowing.
was all flowing. We talked about making something your own, right? Taking a space and transforming the space to be what you are, which is exactly what Agave has done, right? They took over the OTD space. Of course, the sidebar is now occupied by Slider Bar, which we all love the fact that they're here. I know you've done a lot of work with Pete. His food is excellent. But Agave, let's be real. Let's put the food aside for a second. The atmosphere, the location, excuse me, is a big part of the lure, right? The lure in terms of drawing you in, but also the lure of, spelled a little bit differently, the story behind it, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
Old Town Dispensary's been there forever, and you could shed some more light if you want on the historical perspective of it, but you can sit at the bar and eat. You can sit at a high top inside. You can sit at a high top outside. You could sit in that courtyard there and listen to some live music most nights, most days, nights of the week. Um, what a great place. And obviously, you have your Old Town people that will just roll over there with their golf carts. OTD was like Grand Central Station,
Oh yeah.
and really hasn't changed much, right? A lot of those Old Joy people, they still congregate over there, in that part of Old Town on the weekends. I mean, a Friday night at Agave, I'll never forget. We went there last year for Memorial Day weekend. And Memorial Day weekend's coming up. That weekend that my birthday always takes place. My birthday is the 26th of May. We went to Agave with our friends, and they've since had a newborn son, but at the time it was just their daughter. And we met, and that was sort of the kickoff of, the festivities of Memorial Day, or as I Memorial Day weekend.
Decent
We,
Memorial.
I got to copyright that or trademark it. So
Yes.
it used to be all about parties, but that's a story for another time. So we sat down, and their daughter Maya, just sort of like, we were all excited to kind of get together and have dinner and Memorial Day weekend, and she just screamed at the top of her lungs. I don't even remember what she screamed, but it was something along the lines of like, "Oh, it's party time." She's part Dominican, and then as we know, the Dominicans love to party and they love delicious food. And I had to say that, tell that, you know, that little story because it was basically like it was the perfect way to encapsulate the feeling that you get when you go to a place like Agave, right?
Yeah.
It's festive. There's people hanging out. There's people sitting at the bar. They're having fun. There's music. The staff they're smiling. It's the experience. And so I do like their food. Don't get me wrong. It's not as it's more of you know quesadillas and street corn and nachos and chicken tortilla soup. I love how they do the mix and match tacos. They got quite a few specialties, which of course include, beef empanadas, shrimp ceviche, stuffed avocado, carne asada torta. I'm not going to run through everything, but vendors, right? Your fajitas, your taco salad, Like the menu is not that complicated. We were talking about, the 11 pages or in addition to the cover at Cinco. This menu is pretty much one page, right?
Yeah.
At least the food part of it. It's just that one big page. And what we did, of course, was because I like to try a little bit of everything, we did like the taco assortment. So I think we did a brisket taco. I think I tried an ahi tuna taco. The the fish taco with the battered like just all very delicious. Um, the that's a beautiful cucumber. I want to say margarita. I
Mm-hmm.
believe. Let's see, margaritas. Yes, cucumber jalapeno margarita. I mean, it looks like Ecto Cooler, but it was delicious. A little
I,
spicy. You got the refreshing flavor of the cucumber. Just a really cool spot to hang out, eat some tacos, enjoy time with your family, with your friends. They got their whole live music schedule posted, on the website. Jason Laporte, you know, La Bodega, Groovetown Assault Light. They do the music from 6:30 to 10 p.m. So I apologize. It's not during the day. Mostly evening stuff, but you can check out the schedule on their website. You can order online. They do it through Toast Tab, and just really happy and really, and the nachos. Oh my god, the nachos with the cheese sauce and just some sliced jalapeno. Outstanding. I'm so glad because I think we were all kind of sad when they decided to close down OTD, the owners of Sage Room. It was just kind of like an end of an era type of
it
thing.
was
I'm
a
going to pass it
funeral.
back to you, but
It was a
yeah,
funeral for sure, and there was a lot of backlash, and honestly, um, it had nothing to do with agave. Just like truthfully, there was some backlash to Slider Bar because people loved agave in that spot. So it's like, people didn't want anything to change. Well, change happens, and you know, um, agave moved into a bigger. They saw an opportunity. They moved into a bigger space. They've, as you said, they've made the space their own. Slider Bar has made that space their own, and I yes, I personally, and this is no slight on Old Town Dispensary. I it was never majority about the food for me at Old Town Dispensary. It was about the atmosphere. It was about the hang and the people you would see there. And um, now you've got a spot, and again, that's no knock on the menu because it was still pretty delicious. It's just um, I just never found myself going there for a specific dish. When we got there and we had the food, it was like, delicious, but it was about the hang. Well, now you've got the hang and you've got a really, uh, a really creative spin on Mexican food, fresh ingredients. Um, you know, like you said, simplicity, but uh just elevated. I guess that's, and it's even even just like you said, even just whoops, showing the nachos. I mean, these that's a simple approach, okay? But
yeah.
the
Excuse me.
chips are fresh, delicious. The cheese sauce is spectacular. um yeah, it's I I'm a big fan of what they do there. And I think it's a great addition to Old Town. On it's a great addition to Calhoun Street. So I was happy when I saw this pick on your list.
Yeah. I always thought, and this is not a slate to Slider Bar either because I think they're great. But when I went to Agave, I would typically sit like at the outside bar or the inside bar. And my thought was always, because I mean, sidebar was appropriate because it really was just a bar. There were no tables inside. And obviously, that Old Town area, you got more seating inside Local Pie. But if you're going to eat at Slider Bar or even Local Pie, a lot of times, if it's a nice day, you're going to sit outside. So I just remember going to Agave and thinking, imagine if they had a dining room. And there's not a huge dining room in OTD, but where you have the dining room, you have, like I said, the high tops, you have the deck seating, you have the patio seating. So it obviously was an opportunity for them to grow, and also the perfect opportunity for a great concept like Slider Bar to slide right in there. And
Yeah.
Pete's done a spectacular job with that. So it's a win-win. Like you said, change is inevitable. Sometimes we don't like it. I won't say that I went to Old Town Dispensary for any particular dish either, other than the French onion soup. And yes, I did like the fried chicken sandwich, but as we'll get into probably next week when we talk about bars and burgers, my wife has always talked about, doing a sandwich thing where we go around and we try all of the fried chicken sandwiches in the area. That was one of the better ones. But like you said, it was all about the occasion, the experience, the fact that it was a gathering place. I love the fact that they made it their own. I love the fact that it continues to be a gathering space. And I love the fact that it's an you know, concept of that Mexican food. And I also forgot to mention, because there's a couple other menus here, they also have burritos, bean, chicken, or beef, rice bowls that you can get with any of the different proteins, and obviously an extensive margarita, cocktail, beer, and wine selection in addition. So it really was a win-win for everybody. Um, and I think that it's fair to say, this could be put under the Southwest Tex-Mex category as well. Not just specifically Mexican inspired, but some of that Southwest Tex-Mex inspiration too. And it's just a happening place. I mean, let's be real. If you were to put a flag in Old Town and say, this is the center of Old Town, it would either be Agave, or I don't know, maybe you could say Martin Family Park or something like that, if you want to be talking about outdoor space. But as far as an establishment, a restaurant, Agave is the what do they call it? Tent pole, of Old Town.
All right. So we're three down. We going back out to the island? Where are we going next?
Yeah, let's go. Let's hop back out to Hilton Head, to one of the newer spots. And this quickly rose to the top of my list. Specifically, like I said, being all the way out here, a lot of times my opportunities to try things are during lunch. And one of my new favorite lunch spots that has really skyrocketed to the top of the list is Cactus Street Cantina. We've talked about service, check. We've talked about atmosphere, check. We've talked about, you know, authenticity in terms of, Mexican and Tex-Mex Southwestern food. Cactus Street Cantina checks all the boxes. So they took over the space that used to be occupied by Great Bites, right? Great Bites moved to Northridge, and Cactus Street Cantina moved in right there next to Main Street Cafe. Main Street Village, I've learned, and I was actually corrected by someone that lives on the north end of Hilton Head. I didn't really think of it as much of a gathering place, but if you live on the north end, it really is, unless you're going to go over to Matthews, it really is kind of, that's kind of the spot for North Enders. So to have a cantina style restaurant that, and it's great because it's a local person, it says here right on the homepage, right if you go to the about section, Over 20 years ago, this young, crazy Australian landed in Hilton Head and found herself living with a true, proper Southern girl from Kentucky. Though polar opposites in just about every way, they forged a friendship that has lasted the test of time. Both having worked in food and beverage for many years, they always dreamed of one day owning their own restaurant and knew they would be the perfect combination to be partners. Tracy brought her impeccable sense of style, attention to detail, and head for numbers. And Lauren brought her passion for food and cocktails, love of people, and her gift for building relationships, and most importantly, their ability to laugh together and at each other. So you have a great story of two people who joined forces that worked over the years with a very talented chef. It says Adolf Aguilar, who shared their vision, and they became two friends became three friends, and now they're collaborating and sharing their love of food with the community. I had to go through that because it's a great story. When you're talking about the menu, again, we're back to queso. I love their queso. They put spicy chorizo into it with ranchero sauce and Oaxaca gratin. I love the shrimp ceviche is another one. The street corn, once again, nachos. You can get them the simple way with the queso pico de gallo, lettuce, and guacamole, or you can go the gnarly way, which is queso, black beans, corn, jalapenos, chipotle drizzle. Add any sort of protein to that. I've been eyeing up bang bang shrimp, as I said from before, with flatbreads. I always get sucked in when it comes to bang bang shrimp. This is an ponzu sauce served over cabbage, topped with a mango salsa and chipotle. So you got your sweetness there, like Luis was talking about earlier. And then, of course, in a whole list of burritos, tortas, enchiladas, salads, obviously, and then a whole list of tacos, quesadillas, bowls. They did a really great promotion several months ago where all the bowls that they sold in a 1 month period were going towards the Outside Foundation. They do a lot of this stuff to support local charities, which I think is spectacular. And I think we might have a picture of it. But the one day that I got together there with Maggie and Jevin of CH2 Magazine, I indulge. Some might say there's the bowl that my wife had when they were doing the Outside Foundation. Of course, as I said, Jocelyn's the program director for the SCORE program and the Outside Foundation. So that was her bowls. We got some tacos here that I enjoyed. I think that was when I went to lunch that one day with my friend David Lotan from Keller Williams. He's the market leader here. That was a corn chowder soup that they had that day, which was excellent. Corn chowder. I take it back. This is on their regular menu. Poblano corn chowder. I absolutely love corn chowder. It's my favorite soup. Corn chowder, chicken corn chowder, whatever it is. I was at the Black Rabbit out in Savannah this past week, and they had a mushroom soup, and they changed it over yesterday to a corn chowder. I literally might drive over there in the next day or two just to get some of that corn chowder. That's how much I love corn chowder. But the main event was the most recent lunch, like I mentioned, with Maggie and Jevin, where I went with the torta, which is the torta cubano. I think you got some. That's the chips with the
Yeah, I don't know if I've
queso
got the
that I shared.
torta.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm going to describe it to you because you wouldn't even believe that all of this was in a sandwich. Honestly, Tim, the photo wouldn't have done it justice with the volume of stuff that was in this sandwich. Refried beans, mayo, chorizo, bacon, sausage, chicken Milanese, a fried egg, queso fresco, and avocado.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I think I might have forgotten to send you the photos from that particular day, or I couldn't find them. Regardless, I absolutely, I mean, I couldn't finish it. It was an unbelievable amount of food, but this sandwich was unbelievable. I didn't even know that a sandwich, in that Mexican Tex-Mex category, I didn't even know that existed for this type of restaurant. And again, they call it the torta cubano. You can get a traditional torta where you can choose one of those chicken carnitas, al pastor, carne asada, or chorizo. But that torta cubano was just incredible.
That's the thing with Cactus Street is it starts with it starts with the owners. I've just been such a huge fan of Lauren for so many years now, and what she did with Captain Woody's Bluffton. Um, she just she has an air about her that you want to be around, and it's not just the accent, it's just um she's got a passion for the food industry, and it's very clear she's got a passion for the service industry. And like you said, the pairing of her and Tracy, I can't think of too many more perfect pairings. um they have, you know Great Bites left, that was a hole in Main Street Village, in terms of just um the the foodie scene. And it was like, okay, can hopefully we can get another restaurant in this space. And you didn't just get another restaurant, you got an experience, as we say it so often. But I mean, it's a great place to hang. I mean, the bar, I love the way the bar area is set up there. They give it plenty of space to breathe. um and the drink selection's amazing. The whole menu, I mean, I can't say it any better than you have. I mean, but I mean, there's not one thing I've tasted on that menu that I didn't just I'm salivating right now talking about it. It's it's it- I just I'm s- I think it's one of those places that you like the people, so you really, really, really wanted it to be good. You didn't want to have to like fake it in turn, because you're always gonna like the people. And sure enough, the food is amazing. Um, their collaboration with the chefs out there, along with just the service and the style that those two women have made their signatures. It's a very cool place, and it's. i- I'm not gonna say it's too cool for Main Street Village, because but it's one of those places, like Main Street Village has been there for a while. Main Street Village is like a staple of the North End, a staple of the island in general. So it's one of those places you expect to kind of open in like the cool the cool new neighborhood in town. And I mean, that's what I love about what they've done with the space. I mean, it's all the bit the cool, and they've really upped the whole cool factor in Main Street Village now. You already have a bunch of great businesses and great restaurants out there, but it's just a perfect addition to that restaurant shopping destination.
Absolutely, and like I said, like we started with, it's a great story. You love it's great when a couple people come together and they start a brand new business. They got that entrepreneurial spirit, and you can tell, their personalities come through with the food. It comes through with the service. I should also mention that 4 to 6 p.m. every day they do a happy hour, which is all beer, wine, and specialty cocktails. House margaritas only $5. And for $7, you can get the gnarly nachos, a mini quesadilla, street corn, shrimp ceviche, or boom boom shrimp. So 5 different appetizers at only $7 during happy hour. That's spectacular. Go check them out. It's actually kind of cool. You order at the counter and then you sit down and they bring you your They always have a really fun message up on the board, behind the thing, which is always something about margaritas or something about tequila or something fun like that. And again, they got a couple tables outside that you could sit at if it's a nicer day. They have the umbrellas and things like that. Um, it's just like you said, it's a great addition to that Main Street village. It's a vibrant, fun place, and I think that it's going to be there for a long time.
I love I love when you've got restaurants that, and especially a newer restaurant like Cactus Street Cantina, right from the jump. Um, they made it a mission to have a give back of the month charity that they're donating a portion of their proceeds to. And this month it's pockets full of sunshine, but every month they've got a different charity that they're giving to. And that, again, that speaks to the ownership, the just the vibe of giving back that they've always established. I mean, Lauren was the first one to jump in on anything I ever needed in terms of charity events. So again, not to be too repetitive, but you know, uh, it's great when we can talk about really really nice people, really good people, like uh, two of the best people you're gonna meet in the Low Country when they get together and they knock it out of the park. It's really cool.
Couldn't agree more, man.
Now, we're also last but not least in terms of the list, but I mean, we talked a little bit about this one with, and we talked a little bit earlier when we talked about Cinco. We talked about this with Luis, but uh, La Hacienda.
Yes, Laja, as some people call it. Hacienda was a Mexican restaurant back home in probably Patterson, New Jersey, Route 20, and that was a very popular place for authentic Mexican food. So whenever I would drive by and I would see Hacienda, I always would remind me of that. And as did Jalapenos, which was ironically another restaurant that Luis used to work for, which is now which is now Bones. They got rid of the JVZ, so now it's Bones Bar and Grill. But La Hacienda, again, I don't remember the time frame. It was at least a year ago. They underwent a significant renovation. You're going to see a lot of similarities between La Hacienda and Cinco because, again, it's the same ownership. So the menus aren't exactly the same, but you're going to see a lot of similarities between the menus. Very expansive. A lot of the stuff that we talked about already with the Texas dip and all kinds of things like that. But really, and we talked about this in detail with Luis, Hacienda is just visually stunning with what they've done. Again, it's wide open, it's bright, it's clean. They have the one entire wall with, I think it was like the woman's face painted on it and all the beautiful colors and everything like that behind it. It is just such a bright, vibrant, fun place to hang out. We went there actually more recently with the same family that I told you about, this time with the newest addition to their family, with their son, their young son. And we were very comfortable. We got seated at like one of the booth on the outside, or on the outside, and the chairs on the inside. Plenty of room to spread out. I think it was like a Friday night. The bar was humming. I mean, not standing room only type of thing, because they got so much space now, which is incredible. But again, centrally located, right there on, I want to say, Bluffton Road. Yes, right there on Bluffton Road, the same little shopping center as GameStop, and right by
Former
Giuseppe's and
GameStop. I
whatnot.
wonder what's gonna go in there now, but yeah, that GameStop closed.
Oh, it's gone. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm not a video game person. The last few times that I went there for my action figure hunting for my wrestling figures, they had
Yep.
very limited supply. So
You
I'm
had a
sorry. I'm
feeling.
sad to hear that, but
Yeah.
not missing much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not a video game person. My brother is, but so La Hacienda. I don't think I really have that much more to add. Again, you can get online ordering there. There's a whole kids menu. This place has everything that you could possibly want. They have a rewards program for 50 points gets you $5 off, 110, 220, and obviously you can see how that goes there. So I think that would actually be a great place if you had a large group to have a gathering for a special occasion or something like that. Again, they got plenty of space. This is one of the steak options. My friend also got that molcajete that night, and I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. They put it in that molcajete thing, which is how they make guacamole, that big rock bowl thing. And this thing was just overflowing with food. It was incredible.
Nice.
Traditional molcajete, enough for two, served in a molcajete bowl with a side of flour tortillas. Char-grilled steak and chicken, cheese quesadilla, grilled jalapeno, and green onion, topped with shredded cheese. $38, but again, like for two people, and definitely plenty to bring home for another whole meal that you could probably share between the two of you. Like we were saying about Cinco, the quantity is incredible, and the service is excellent, and of course the quality in addition to the quantity. Again, you have mole, enchiladas. My wife's almost as predictable as me when it comes to Mexican food. That night I was eating a little late because I had late lunch that day. So I ended up just going with your standard chicken quesadilla. And it was exactly what the doctor ordered in that particular moment.
Very cool.
There's that was the Texas dip. And that was that drink that I told you about before. The Cantarito or whatever.
Oh,
Really, really
nice.
tasty. Yeah. I think that's both. I think that's the Michelada on the left and the Cantarito on the right.
Nice.
Yep. And I think you
Yeah.
have the Texas dip there too.
Yep.
Oh, there's the tech. Look at how chicken and shrimp are in there. And then I think that next photo is I like to do the esquites, which is basically grilled corn with the Mexican crema, queso fresco, and that tahine seasoning.
Nice.
That's on the apps.
So
La Hacienda open every day, by the way, 11 to 10 p.m. And they
yeah,
deliver.
which is amusing. We were talking earlier about the town shutting down at 9 p.m. They're like the late night option.
There are a couple, yeah. I mean, there are a couple options, that you can if you're hungry at that late at night. They're open a little bit later. It seems like Cinco goes 11 to 9:30, and then Friday and Saturday they're open till 10:30. So yeah, I mean, it's good to know that you got an option if you're dining, a little bit later.
You had a couple others that you wanted to mention.
Yes. They're not restaurants, they're food trucks. We talked about them when we talked about food trucks. Birria Loca. One night we did DoorDash, and my wife and I shared the pizza birria. It was spectacular.
Oh
I've
gosh,
been a fan from Birria
so
Loca
good.
since day one. I think I'm going to do some content with them pretty soon, with my buddy RJ from Visually Chopped. Want to mention, I've only eaten there once, but I really enjoyed it. My friend Will Savage from PMC Mortgage and I met at El Nuevo Vallarta over there by Katie O'Donnell's. Cool place to just sit at on a high top out front. I think I got enchiladas that day. They were excellent. A lot of friends of mine are big fans of Nuevo Vallarta, so I wanted to give them a quick mention as well. I also wanted to talk about a place that has caught my attention very recently. Someone mentioned this to me. I actually have to give credit to Joe Matajeski from Bluffton Pressure Washing. Joe talked about some random, like, taco stand type of thing on Hilton Head called La Cabanita. And I was like, I had never heard of this before. And then I talked to my mother, who, of course, my parents live in Hilton Head Plantation. I mentioned it to her because one of her friends, they were going to go out to lunch, and she wears out Madre Mercado, which, that's a newer option that went into that's where actually went into the Old Bonefish. We were talking about that when we talked about Lulu, I think, a
Yep.
couple of weeks ago. So, and that's another good spot, newer to the party, and we'll probably get to them at some point down the road. But I had never heard of this La Cabanita. And ever since I started following them on Facebook, I'm in, man. Like, I honestly, this is on my short list of places that I cannot wait to get to in Hilton Head. It just seems like a little nondescript place off the side of the road. The menu, a place is authentic when the menu is in Spanish. Like, I'm looking at this menu right now. It says desayunos. I think that's breakfast. Yes. Tacos y tortas, self-explanatory. Antojitos. Is that okay? So that's like Mexican street food. Um, Little cravings. Very cool. I love to eat that style where I could try a little bit of everything, right? And, sopes, gorditas, baleadas, burritos, tostados, salchipapa. I mean, they're posting pictures on their Facebook page lately, and it's blown me away. They had a pork adobo today. Yesterday, they had pork ribs and salsa verde. A couple days ago, they had pozole, which is, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but that's a pork shoulder. It's a Mexican stew made with hominy, meat, and seasonings, often served with corn tortillas and garnished with cabbages, radishes, and cilantro. This is catching my eye because it's as authentic as it gets. They had a beef broth one day when it was chilly. Um, I can't wait because everything looks like it comes with like your black beans with the queso fresco, the yellow rice. They had mole rojo recently, a red mole sauce, birria ramen they do, which to date I've only heard of that from La Barria Loca. So they're doing that as well. I've even seen albondigas, which are meatballs in a chipotle sauce. Now, you know me, I'm Italian. When it comes to meatballs, I don't screw around, but
No.
judging by the looks of this, with a nice big pile of rice next to it, with all the sauce underneath, it looks like mouth-wateringly delicious. So I don't often mention places that I have not been to yet, but I had to give them because I plan to go. It's like when you go into Google and you pull up a restaurant, you flag it places I want to go.
Yeah.
That's on the short list. And to round things out, I didn't mention this to you ahead of time, but I have to mention Tio's, right? There are a lot of people that might say, "Oh, Tio's isn't Mexican," or something like that. Like, it's Tio's Latin American kitchen, right? So there has to be, when you're talking about this category of food, Mexican, Latin American type of food, I just feel like you have to mention Tio's. They're in Hilton Head, they're in Bluffton. They do a lot to support local causes as well. And they also do a lot, like when we talked a couple of weeks ago about Shea George having all these different events. They have a ladies' night. They
Yep.
have, the one that I absolutely love that Sally does is the rent's due, where they give,
Yes.
yeah, where, like, for anybody that's employed in food and beverage, they can get, is it restricted to food? No, I'm looking here. Girls' Night Out, Tuesday at Shelter Cove, Thursday in Bluffton. Um, I'm not seeing it here on the homepage, but regardless, that's something that they do to make it easier for people to get a cheaper meal at the end of the month, beginning of the month, when they're doing. Oh, and they got some more of them here. Um, Happy
Every
hour, 4 to 7 every day.
first of every month, they offer a $10 meal special at Tio's. That's the rent's due.
So that's for
Like you
everybody.
said,
That's not even
yeah.
food and beverage employees.
No, it's a statement. It's about recognizing the rising cost of living in our community and offering an affordable, high quality meal when people need it most. So it's a $10 meal special, um, making sure that great food stays accessible even when the bills are piling up. No, I mean, and again, I'm really glad that you mentioned Tio's. It's like one of those lists where I was kind of like, well, like where does yeah, I don't buy. Okay, so like what are they, their own bucket? You know, Latin American cuisine. Like what? Like you know, where do they fit? Well, where they fit is just deliciousness and creativity and Chef Lind. I mean, talk about passion. Just I mean, you know, and I was lucky enough to you talk about all the things that I was lucky enough to work with them when they did when they first opened the Bluffton spot. I did trivia nights there, and I saw firsthand just the passion that goes into every dish with Chef Linden and his crew. Uh, to be able to replicate that over and over again, there's an art to it, and it's you know, Bluffton has it's an more of an open kitchen. Um, Hilton Head's not quite the same. Hilton Head's got more of a centerpiece bar situation going on there, which I equally love. But yeah, um, so many dishes at Tio's that I just savor. I, and again, I'm I'm not the authority on this, but I remember when I was asking I asked on what's happening in Bluffton, like where can I get the best Cuban? And yeah, people
You're
kept saying
fine.
Tio's. Yeah.
You're in my mind right now.
Yeah, seriously, the Cuban there. I mean, and Sally even said it. Sally let everybody else speak for her, and then she chimed in at the end, and was like, "Come on over. Like you're here for trivia night. Try the Cuban. Like what are you like?"
Yes,
And oh my goodness, like
yes.
yeah, so good, so
It's
delicious.
Tio's is the brainchild of, like you said, Lyndon Zuniga. He's Honduran, Central American descent. Worked in kitchens all through growing up. Sally, you know, as local of a Hilton Head Islander as it gets, very, you
Worked her
know,
way up in the food industry,
yes,
and
yes.
yeah,
Actually, did mortgages, which I always thought was kind of funny when we first got started to get to know each other. Um, she she ended up finding her way into this food business, and I'll tell you what, there's not too many people that are as hardworking as Lyndon and Sally are. They have so many employees across their 4 restaurants. They don't just own the Tio's in Hilton Head and Bluffton. They own Fiddler's Seafood Market out in
in
Ridgeland, which
Ridgeland.
it's a little bit of a ride from where we are. But I'll be honest, that's another
It's
place
worth
that
it.
they post the specials, and I'm like, wow, I got to take a ride out there, try some of this food. I just love
They
how
took over a family business there that already had an established clientele, and where everybody feared that it was just gonna crash or that they were gonna close this spot that kind of become an institution in town. They have just even kicked it up a notch to where they have all the locals bought in there now too, because it's just the food is so good. They've honored all the recipes, and they've made a commitment to making that place really special, which is not shocking. Again, like, yeah, I mean, honestly, we could do a whole episode on Sally and Lyndon. I just when
Yeah.
like the just the when we talk about the passion for the industry and the they've bootstrapped and partnered up, and now they're on their own, and now they've started Sweetwater Steamer,
Again,
which
stole the words right out of my mouth. Another
great,
great option.
fantastic idea that they're knocking out of the park. So yeah, I'm
We
really
did it
glad.
last
I'm
summer.
really glad. Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
we did it. We did steamer the takeout Low Country Boil for one of the. I think it was one of my family's. All the birthdays are in the summertime, so we wanted to do something a little bit different that wasn't going to require us to spend all day cooking and cleaning everything like that. They give you everything all batched up. I'm not going to get into too much detail because we're not talking seafood this episode, but that was a great idea. Of course, that's down on New Orleans Road, down at the end of the plaza where Shea George and Michael Anthony's are. Um, Again, 4 restaurants, on top of it, they got 4 kids, all these employees, and like they're constantly like right now on the website, it says we're hiring. So like I've heard great things about that. They're great people to work for. By definition, it even says on their website, authentic flavor, serving both traditional and new fusions of Latin food. So they don't, someone might say, oh, no, it's not Mexican. Well, they're not pigeonholing themselves into, we have just Mexican food, because you're not going to go to too many Mexican restaurants that are going to have a Cuban sandwich, right? But I love the creativity. Sunday, boozy brunch, bottomless mimosas, and all you can eat tacos, $15 all day. I mean, come on, are you serious? Like, you can get them with ground beef, chicken, Cuban roasted pork, Americano style, choice of tortilla. Like, there's all of these things that are helping people save some money, that are helping people feel at home. It's a family owned place. It's got that family vibe. And listen, I got to give credit where credit is due. I'm not sure that I'm sitting in this chair right now doing the Indulgent Islander podcast if it wasn't for Sally Zuniga. Sally coined, she's the one that came up with the name the Indulgent Islander. We connected, over a year ago. We started talking about this type of stuff. She believed in me from the very beginning to be an advocate, to spotlight, to promote, to get more exposure for all these restaurants. And I'm very grateful to her for, I was on this path, right? I've been on this path for a number of years, but Sally's one of the instrumental people, as well as George. And we've talked about that a number of times as well. I'm very grateful to the people, up to and including yourself, right? I told you this verbatim offline. These are all the people that helped me get to this point. What I'm most excited about is that we're only just getting started, but I have to, again, I have to thank and show gratitude to the people that helped me get here and the people that helped me figure this stuff out. And Sally was one of them. And
yep.
I patronize their restaurants just like I do everything else. We won't have an
People
entire episode about Latin American food. Maybe down the line we will, but they had to be mentioned in this category.
And people will say to me all the time, because they'll say they get tired reading my feed because I'm like into so many different projects, and I get tired reading Sally's feed because, like you mentioned, I mean, as devoted as a mother and parents as you'll find, um, I don't know where I feel like she's found like 6 extra hours in the day. I don't know how, between the restaurants, the family, the passion she has for giving back in the community, and you know, just I'll get random messages every once in a while, like this person needs this, or it's like Sally, like man, like she's a true leader in the community, and I'm really glad you brought him up, and
Tio's has
and not
only been
just
around.
because of not because of them, but really, like the restaurant itself is spectacular. It just so
Yes.
happens that they are equally spectacular.
Yes, it's completely separate from my friendship with her. And I was just going to say, Tio's happened in 2018. That's mind blowing
Yeah.
because if you were to ask someone, they would probably say, "Oh, Tio's has been around forever." But that's in less than 7 years, that's the mark that they've left on the communities, Bluffton and Hilton Head, Ridgeland, right, respectively.
You know,
We talk about institutions.
when I
That
talk
that
to
that that's a good word.
when I talk to folks about, because I'm passionate about business, I'm passionate about marketing. When folks, whether they hire me or they ask me for advice in terms of marketing to the community, like the first thing I'll say is it can't be fake. You have got to immerse yourself in the community. It has to be real. Um, you 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 have to show that you're not just taking money. That you're not just that you want to not just be a restaurant here. You want to be part of the community, and no one no one fits that bill more than Sally and Lyndon for sure. So, all right.
Thousand percent.
So great episode. Great list. I mentioned them briefly, but you know, there's so many. There's so many good restaurants in this category. And um, I've been impressed. I always loved me Tia Rita, and again, uh, Jake Higgins has come in, taken over that spot, kept a lot of the same staff, um, turned it into Cantoritos, and hasn't missed a beat in terms of just slaying it and being that ever busy institution right there in the Food Lion Plaza. So,
Yeah, you
so
mentioned
many
Cantoritos
different
a number of
spots. Yeah.
times. I haven't had a chance to get there yet. So that's definitely on the short list of places in Bluffton that I have not tried yet. But I know that there was Meteorita had a big following.
Oh yeah.
Friends of mine in the area, especially people with kids,
Yep.
families. That's a
Yep.
very popular weekend destination. I've heard good things about their pizza, which is always mind blowing to me when a Mexican type of restaurant serves
Yeah, we
pizza.
talked
But
about it on the pizza episode. It's yeah,
right,
it's
yeah,
really good.
exactly. Yeah.
It's really
So I'm
good.
glad that you mentioned them as well. That's
Oh, and by the
definitely
way,
flag that for to go.
I
Want to
talked to you
go.
about this offline, but just we did our pizza episode. Uh, we've been to Sunset Pizza a couple times since that episode. One was takeout. Last week we went and dined in. Um, really, really delicious. The pizza's amazing. And I love the atmosphere inside. They combine it. It's Full Moon Saloon and Sunset Pizza, and so to all those folks that were like, when we were asking your thoughts on pizza places, and you're all pushing Sunset Pizza, we hear you. It is really good. So shout out to Trent and the whole crew there for what they're doing. They've pretty much taken over that entire plaza now between Full Moon
For real.
Saloon, Sunset Pizza, Half Day Cafe. So yeah. Um,
Yeah, man.
Anything else you want to get to before we say goodbye?
I think that's it for today. That we definitely covered everything that we wanted to cover. Um, Next week we got bars and burgers, so I'm excited about that. And then we're going to go with breakfast and brunch before we head out to Asia for one of my favorite categories. But honestly, like I'm really excited about these next couple of weeks because we say that we're going to get to a lot of these places that maybe we might have missed on previous categories. Um, we mentioned Slider Bar today. We're going to talk about them next week. They're one of the bars and burgers. I'm very excited about the direction that we're going with this. I'm excited about the fact that we were able to get another guest on today. We're going to be having 2 conversations tomorrow with 2 other potential sponsors, as well as another guest that we're going to be getting on here. Actually, we'll probably end up getting them both on as guests. We're going to have Anthony on as well one of these days, our very first sponsor. We'll have him on as well. We'll talk food. We'll talk some real estate again. And I couldn't be more, like I said, excited about what we're doing. I appreciate everyone's support. We appreciate you being patient with us last week where we weren't able to get a pot up. Sometimes life happens and we got to take care of things at home, personally and professionally. So we're going to continue to try to bring this to you, every week, as many weeks in a row as we can. And we got a lot of other cool stuff coming up. Like I've mentioned before, we're working on some events as well as, some collaboration with some of these wonderful restaurateurs that have given us so many things to talk about. So that's all I got for today, man.
Just a huge shout out. We don't want to get, we don't want to bore you, but this really is truly authentic when we talk about Anthony. I mean, you have to have someone that kind of breaks the mold or takes that first plunge in believing in you as a sponsor. And Anthony has taken that plunge, and I like to think that he's opened up the floodgates now. We're not going to be doing 30-second reads for 2 hours every week, but we one thing I love about Nick is that whether it's on the show or on his social media, he gives a lot of publicity to all these restaurants. He's an advocate for all these restaurants, and there's the time invested to do this, and to have some sponsors believe in us and help us pay the bills, so to speak. We're really appreciative, and Anthony's the first of what we hope is a few, many, and so excited, dude. So excited. Great episode. Great guest today. Huge thanks to Luis Escobar, with May River Group, Engel and Volkers. Yeah. Check it out. Yeah, exactly. The hat check. Listen, we put it up earlier, but you can find us wherever you got your podcasts. iHeart, Podbean, Amazon, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You don't want to watch us? Hey, listen, not everybody wants to see this. It's okay. But listen to us, and we'll be back at it next week. Can't wait to talk bars and burgers, yeah?
Yes,
oh, yeah,
sir.
baby. Wheelhouse time.
Likewise, my friend. Yeah,
All
let's
right.
do it.
Tim Woods saying goodbye. Nick saying,
stay hungry, my friends. See you next week.